Okay, you see the pink shirt. I also have these hazmat, Breaking Bad shoes with a little pink indentation on it, or pink heel tab. I watched Barbie yesterday. Was unable to watch both back to back to complete the Barbenheimer experience. I just left Oppenheimer, 3-hour movie. I did not know it was 3 hours until today. As you can tell, I'm very flat. If you've watched my movie reviews, usually they're a little bit more energized. I'm very flat right now. That's because, simply put, what I just went through was an experience in and of itself. An experience I don't have a fully formed opinion on. I'll just get some pretext. I essentially wanted this movie to fail for over a year now, I guess. When Universal made the call to burn the first trailer for Oppenheimer, the teaser trailer, the countdown, into the film for Nope by Jordan Peele. That was just one of the more egregious things I've ever seen in my entire life, especially in art or entertainment. To basically lessen the art of somebody else. I think I have a Nope review. You can probably go back and watch the Nope review and see this. But to lessen the importance of one's own work to highlight your MVP, whatever. I understand it financially. I understand this was going to be Universal's centerpiece and maybe its biggest actual decent film in terms of the art quality of things in years, in decades, maybe even. They had Nolan coming out of Warner Brothers. It was just an event of upon itself for a studio. I get it, but to me that was one of the more egregious things I've seen. And for that, on top of the incessant commercials and trailers and just this bitterness that I got from Nolan coming out of the Warner Brothers relationship. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was just me being a hating ass motherfucker. I love hating. I love it. I love being a hater. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's something I thoroughly enjoy. But at the same time, I'm just in my head. I'm like, this is rationalized to me. Like, it made sense to me. Maybe it doesn't make sense to anybody else. But as somebody who's seeing just slight perturbances build up to just these rivalries and beefs and horse shit, it just meant something to me that this guy was being put on this platform that he's deserved. I mean, the Prestige is the Prestige. The Dark Knight trilogy, Inception, blah, blah, blah. He deserved the platform he's got. I mean, I'm not debating that, but I'm debating at what point did we go too far with this movie. This movie was supposed to be basically the movie of the year, definitively, and the movie since it came out. It was going to be the post-COVID movie from the guy who wanted to basically save theaters at all costs. And for that, I don't fault him. I understand that on some level, if you're going to sit here and say, we need to save theaters, you got to have somebody to save them. I get it. And it's not going to be a director, it's going to be a movie, although the director is going to be directing a movie. Excuse me. I get it. I all get it. But I couldn't get past it. And then we get Barbie. And then I'm thinking in my head, what the fuck is this movie? I saw the trailer last year, somewhere around this time. And I was just like, what the fuck is this movie? It's very pretty. It almost seems like a fucking comedy, in a sense. Like a child's comedy. But an ironic child's comedy. And I mean, as people with way more better chops than me in this field can tell you, comedies have not been doing great in the movie theaters, much less ironic comedies. So I just didn't know, I just didn't know. Like, what are we gonna get out of this? And then I see that they're not using, fucking Barbie Girl, like the song. I'm like, okay, that's a very interesting decision. One of the more iconic songs for children ever. So I'm like, all right, open mind. I see Margot Robbie, pink as fuck. I see Ryan Gosling as Ken. I'm just thinking to myself, like, okay. And I see Michael Cera in like a bronze skin color. I'm like, what the fuck? So look, it gets weirder and weirder. And then you have pretty much a very unheralded director, to the very least, if not a rookie to this kind of field. And Mattel putting however much they're putting into this, massive budget, a marketing scheme that would put most non-superhero movies to shame, I would say. And just this budding flame, burgeoning hype that, simply put, I haven't seen for a movie, again, non-Marvel DC, I guess maybe even Avatar, in years, in pre-COVID times. I'm like, okay. So we got the experienced director with all the chops and the love for the July time slot and the blockbuster and this and that. We got him, but we also got this fresh face that really there's not a Barbie that you can remember. I mean, hell, most people that went to the theaters for Barbie can't even remember the last time they went to the theaters. So you have this experience that has not been replicated in at least almost half a decade, if not longer. And fast forward a little bit, I start seeing some of the names on the soundtrack, and even some of the actual songs of the soundtrack. And I just start the Barbenheimer. That was, I'm not going to relitigate the Barbenheimer movement. I'm not going to do that because everybody's done that. But it's the most organic hype train that we've gotten in movies. And I mean, I guess you could qualify that Infinity War and Endgame are, organic in the sense like they ended a saga. But outside of that, there's not been an organic hype train I can think of that exceeded this. I mean, this really was amplified to such a degree by just how long we've gone without the true feeling of theaters back. There's nothing that has replicated this in at least years and years and years and years, with how fucking, I just don't know how to put it, how similar, homogenized that the experiences come with movies and the type of movies we've gotten. I mean, to get to a point where, you're sitting here and you have a blockbuster that has no kind of fighting, really. Well, I'm not gonna spoil Barbie, but it's not really fighting the way we think of fighting movies now. There's none of it, hardly any. I don't know if there's any cursing that I can recall. There's some innuendo, as you would expect, but all of this, we come to this movie that is basically an antonym of everything we've known as a blockbuster for, again, over half a decade. And that movie charts to do incredibly. And then the movie that shares the time slot, the Curtis to Kanye West's Graduation, is a fucking thriller. Well, not really a thriller, but a drama with some thriller elements, no fighting, about a fucking nuclear bomb that ruined the lives of hundreds of thousands and culturally set back an entire country, one of the proudest countries in the entire world, to still recover from it. And that movie succeeded in this culture where it's very easy to go back and basically relitigate past transgressions. And as that movie states, the biggest transgression in the history of human society to date is the bombs against Hiroshima and I'm like the movie now. I forgot the other one. I always forget the other one. Nagasaki. So the two biggest movies that we've had in 5 years that don't involve cookie cutter cookie cutter Marvel process, are just antagonistic. Is that what you would say? The antonym, antagonistic, completely against what the grain has been. I know there's been successful movies since COVID has winded down and theaters have groggily survived what was basically a death note for a while there. I know we've had the Avatars, did fantastic. I know we've had the not Mission Impossible. We had Top Gun. I know we've had some artistic progressions for movies, period, that have succeeded in theatrical runs like Everything Everywhere All at Once. I know we've had these, right? But like, we haven't had the moment, in my opinion. And I think that this day was the moment. In the theater that I've gone to plenty of times since 2018 or so, that theater was packed for the, like, legitimately, like, people could not find spots to park at packed, which I can't even describe it being like that for No Way Home or, I mean, obviously not Avatar, because Avatar does not have that type of power, but, No Way Home, the animated Spider-Man movie, which animated movies do worse than live action movies, but all these few moments that we've had, like little smidgen moments, did not compare to what I see. Literally, the entire line was wrapped around itself like the game Snake. You could not get into the line, much less get into a parking spot. That is the return of the summer blockbuster. The moment, the events that movies were at one point in time. Maybe it's because it's two different audiences combined, but really, Barbie was not one unified audience. Oppenheimer was a little bit more of, I mean, you could kind of boil it down to more to traits that were more shared amongst the audience than Barbie. Barbie was so diverse, really. I legitimately mean that. In Barbie, I saw me, a black 24-year-old. I saw 5-year-old white girls. I saw a 50-year-old, 60-year-old black man, Dolo. I saw a black family with 9 grandkids. I saw fucking mothers that just came Dolo in Barbie gear, without their kids, just by themselves. I mean, I saw so many people, Asian people. I saw so many people. And I mean, Oppenheimer, just my one showing didn't have that same level of differences and groups of people. But I mean, people came for Oppenheimer because of Barbie, like just the competition. Like, as the saying goes, the fucking water brings up all boats or whatever the fuck. Like, this movie, no matter what or how Nolan would have wanted it, this movie helped Oppenheimer. There's some people that are going to watch Oppenheimer that, frankly, probably would not have watched it in any other, like, scenario. It's a 3-hour movie. It's a movie about the guy who made a nuclear bomb. For the majority of it, it's about the guy who made a nuclear bomb, and the bomb is kind of hey, this is why this guy matters. But it's about the guy. And the guy has not a very approachable name. He's not a very popular person in modern culture before this movie became a figment in modern culture. All these things that will just make this movie closer to what you would probably see from A24 or, some indie film with some real, with a real good screenplay and, some connections to some decent actors. I mean, I wouldn't even say this is an ensemble cast. I don't think it would be counted as, off the top of my head. I mean, definitely some heavy hitters. I mean, I don't know what ensemble qualifies as nowadays. Asteroid City was what I would consider ensemble. Is this more ensemble than that? Maybe. But it's 3 hours long. So I mean, so yeah, I just don't. I literally don't know what to say other than like, this is a moment that if you are one of those type of people that say I don't want to watch a movie because I don't want to run into people talking through the movie and ruin the experience, a ton of lines, the general inconvenience of being around people, like maybe anxiety or something like that. I get it, but this isn't the time for that. It just, to me, you're invalidating the experience if you say I'm going to go on the second weekend or some shit ass matinee next weekend or next Wednesday where there's like 3 people in there. What are you getting out of it? It's not about the movie. Whether or not, honestly, God, to me at least, whether the movies actually were good, which I think both of them were good, doesn't matter. It matters insofar that you need these movies to be good in order to validate people really coming to theaters long term in droves again. But you don't need these movies to be like The Prestige or some classic, like some 10 out of 10 movie. You don't need that. You just need it to be entertaining. And it accomplished that. But you can only, really, in my opinion, get the full breadth of what this is supposed to be by being in that theater yourself. You have to, in my opinion, at least have that consideration. Like, oh my God, Barbie's probably a lot of people. Oppenheimer's probably a lot of people. Which one do I want to watch first? How do I want to come dressed to this? That was shit that mattered at one point in time. How you dress to a movie mattered to some people at one point in time. When you were to come to a showtime to find a seat was something that mattered at one point in time. That shit should be part of the experience. This is supposed to be an experience. This is why theaters still exist. If you don't have this moment, then there's no reason to even go to theaters. We could just make all of this shit streaming. And that's what ultimately Nolan and Gerwig and all of these people want to avoid. They want to have this experience. And this experience is why we make movies. AMC, we make movies better.